Welcome, Vibers, to Get a Vibe. We've got another great show for you. If you're curious about security, especially in the age of AI and scaling and building things really, really fast, you're going to want to watch this episode. Hang tight, because this is the show for you. Sometimes I feel like that one-man band where I'm clicking all the buttons. You know, you got the drum and the guitar and all the music going. That's how it feels on this side. Super excited to have you guys here. Before we get too far, I want to just share real quick something I got to build from scratch. Getavibe.com is where I'm hosting all of the information for these shows. So we do have a channel on YouTube. Make sure you go and subscribe. You're going to see a QR code up in the top corner there. You can scan that with your camera, and it'll take you right to YouTube where you can subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to post amazing content that's actually useful for somebody who's brand new to coding, to AI, and honestly, marketing. That's another big thing that we're diving into here. So when you go to Get a Vibe, you're going to see all the videos and upcoming shows that we're doing. Down at the bottom, I've got resources for you and tools. There are a bunch built in. Also, you can generate your own playbook. So if you don't know where to go, you can use an AI application to actually generate a playbook and plan for your life. And so this is all free. And then I've also programmed in my own Get a Vibe chat bot down in the bottom here, so you can answer all your questions. I do use Gemini on this particular program just because I find the research behind Gemini searches to be very useful. And so for you that are watching, make sure you go and check that out. So getavibe.com. I'll show that across the bottom here. I've got an incredible guest today, and we're going to introduce her and dive in. So for you that don't know me, I'm Nick Smith. And as of this video, I'm 50 years old and adapting to AI. I've spent the last 20 years in sales and personal development. I've interviewed hundreds of personal development leaders like Becky Robbins and James Malinchak. I've authored courses and books and have consistently been at the top of my game in sales. And now I'm leveling up with AI, coding and marketing and more, right? So I have no coding background, no tech degree, just an insatiable desire to learn. And I created Get a Vibe to document my journey from total beginner to skilled developer using AI and modern tools, learning from the best minds so you can learn alongside me. It's not polished or scripted. This is real, it's messy, and it proves it's never too late to start. So today I'm sitting down with Joy Marie Curtis, public speaker, SaaS and B2B leader, PMI certified project manager, and head of organizational development at Neuralseek. She's led Agentic AI initiatives across IBM, AWS, and Azure ecosystems, and she's known for aligning developers, executives, compliance, and end users to deliver AI that actually gets adopted. We're diving into how enterprises can create secure and scalable AI programs. And from governance to ethics to training and rollout, you're going to walk away with a practical playbook for real impact and ROI. So a massive welcome to Joy. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting, your story, because you go from, can you walk us through this, your history? Kindergarten teacher, right?
Kindergarten teacher. So I started my career teaching kindergarten on the Navajo Nation reservation.
Yeah.
I taught there for 2 years and then 2 or 3 years. And then I moved into teaching in Utah Valley.
Okay.
After that, I transitioned into education technology. And then I got to the company I work with now. I got hired by them as initially as a PM. And then I got senior project manager and now head of organizational development. So
yeah, very cool. So that's quite a gap to cross, right?
You know, yeah. I do stand that they're more similar than we give them credit for.
Yeah.
So if you think of like your favorite kindergarten teacher, they didn't do the work for you. They like really made you feel like you were capable and you could do it. And that's very similar good managers, right? Like if you think of like a good office space that you like, it's not like your manager does your job, right, is that your manager comes in and is like, hey, like, I'm so glad you're a great expert. Like, these are the tasks for today. This is the timeline, right?
Yeah.
So those skills transfer.
Yeah.
Have I learned a lot? Yeah. Yeah, I learned a ton.
And it speaks to anybody in any position can really learn to do this, which I love that about AI. I'm going to be covering in my shows everything from AI to development to marketing. And in this, we're actually going to be talking about security, AI security and scaling. And, before we even get there, I want to lay a foundation. So in my background, I do personal development. I have a program called Night to Well Journeys where we talk about the brain and how your identity is created and how important that is in even thinking that you can learn something new. Can you speak to that a little bit? Like when somebody new is coming into this and they think this is too overwhelming, there's too much, I don't know if I can do this. What would you say to them?
Well, we have we have 3 certificates.
Okay.
So level 1 is like entry.
Yeah.
Right. It's a pretty easy, like, I feel like if somebody like looked at our product, it's 15 question quiz, you could pass it. I'm going to go to level 3 and I'll answer your question when I talk about level 2. Okay.
You bet.
Level 3 certification is technical, right? You have to be able to like build an agent. We have like a ton of documentation. We have video. You just have to be able to show us that technically you're able to use this product independently.
Okay.
Level 2 is my baby. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Level 2 is me. Level 2 is really like what I've seen as somebody with a master's in education entering into a business space, and specifically a very evolving space like AI. And so level 2 certification is we kick off the first one just talking about metacognition, which metacognition is thinking about your thinking.
Beautiful.
And how much, we sometimes believe that we have how to. So like if you think of a recipe, it's how to, I do this step, I do this step, I do this step.
Yeah.
And then if you think of somebody who's skillful, they like my mom, she doesn't follow recipes. She just kind of knows, right? She's just a very skillful cook. And I believe that we were taught that if we just do something enough, right? If we just do the how to enough, then we'll become skillful. But most educational research actually disagrees with that. Most educational research states that the factor between how to and skill is metacognition.
Okay.
So you do have to how to something, right? Like you do have to know how to.
Oh, I like that. You have to how to.
Yeah. You have to how to.
Yeah. That's a great phrase.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you want to complement it with not just like hammering it. You want to complement it with metacognition.
Okay.
You want to reflect on how you did it, why you did what you did. Why is that best practice? Would that be important? Is this unimportant? Right. Yeah. And the more you complement your how to with metacognition, the more skillful you become.
Okay. Yeah. So it's really diving into embodying is what that sounds like, is you're embodying the entire thing. So you don't just have the technical skills. Now you can create recipes of your own, right? You can change the recipe. You can really play with it. Wow. I'd love to hear, because I got to hear you at the Google conference here in Salt Lake, the developers conference. And I'd love to hear your version of what AI is, because we hear it, it's trendy, it's going to expand, it's fundamentally going to change the way we do everything. And well, that's my opinion. Maybe you have a different view. And can you tell about AI and what you think about it?
So I feel like the key word in AI is generate, not AI, because you're generating something. The other thing that I think is it's a very sophisticated copy and paste tool. And I don't describe it that way to undermine like the mathematics that are involved, the machine learning, the data consumption.
Yeah.
Right? But if you really think of how AI works, it's copying your data and then pasting it in a summary. And that's a sophisticated tool, honestly, right? If I have something that can read hundreds to thousands of pages.
Yeah.
And it can summarize it and paste a summary to me. There's a lot we can do with that.
Yeah.
So a very sophisticated copy and paste tool.
Okay. That kind of is blowing my mind a little bit around it, but I get it. So this morning I'm looking at vibe coding online. I'm searching on YouTube. I'm looking at the hundreds of videos that are out there, some of them trying to be viral, some trying to be helpful, and it's hard to filter through all of that. So I'm using Notebook LM to plug all of that into Notebook to summarize these hundreds. I mean, I can put up to 300 pieces of content in there. And it's like what you're saying. I'm copying it in there, pasting it, saving it, it's summarizing it. And now I'm able to understand and not have to watch hours and hours and hours of video to learn something new. So to me, that makes sense that it's okay. And it's almost so simple, it's complicated to me.
Yeah.
Because when you speak to it, it feels very human-like. The summaries aren't robotic. Is that by design? Well, obviously it's by design, but how is that helpful?
So that's helpful in the way too that so let's talk about now you're gonna get more of the educator out of me, okay?
Okay. Yeah.
So we're gonna talk about just
I'm ready.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about language in general.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I want you to imagine we're going to talk about how much we love literacy.
Yeah.
Okay? In our society, we love literacy. Okay. That's good. I love literacy. And I want you to think about reading with a young child. Okay. Not an older child. Imagine a younger child. And if you've read with a younger child, they got their little chunky selves. They kind of come up against you, right? They open the book upside down, right? And they're flipping through the pages and they really just like the one page with their favorite character on it. And they're going to just stare at that page for 30 seconds. And you're trying to kind of read the words ish to catch up with them. And then they flip the page 5 pages and then they get to their next favorite page.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, I love this page. And then you're like, oh my gosh, if you've read with a kid, it's okay. You can admit it. You're like, oh, I'm so sick of this page. Right?
We've been on here for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they close the book. They slap the book closed, right? When they're done.
Yeah.
And then they hug you and they walk off. And why I use that example is so often we think of communication as well-composed sentences. That's communication, right? But communication is everything that happened in that book reading. No literacy was read, okay? It was you looking at that favorite character and your toddler snuggling up next to you, and it's the books flapping around, and it's that's the communication.
Yeah.
Okay? And so I think why we really like large language models, why we like that natural language response is because as humans, we like communication. And with that, hearing something, I can list for you, do A, B, C, D.
Yeah.
Right? And then that's good. That's going to tell you what to do. Right? Or I can put it in a structure where it's communicating. Right? Okay. And so communication is much more than just well-composed words, right? Communication makes us connect, makes us remember nostalgia, right? I'm sure when I was retelling that story, you felt a little nostalgia.
Oh yeah, totally. I saw my own kids and the way they would read books, and it's sometimes we got through the story, and sometimes I fell asleep.
Right? It doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But you feel so much emotion, right?
Yeah.
And I think when we put things in natural language, it's a lot easier as humans to feel towards that, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And so I think that it's part of just our love of communication as a species, I guess.
Well, and understanding, how the brain works is it's perceiving and it's interpreting. And, one of the things I've learned about the brain is that it's all about energy consumption, right? It wants to be efficient. And so when we go to learn something new, it's not very efficient. It burns a lot of sugar. It's costly. It takes a lot of effort to build new neural pathways. And so people aren't really lazy. It's just that the brain is fighting them because it wants automation. And so everything we learn, like what you just shared there, is through repetition, and it becomes automated, habituated. That's why 95% of our thoughts are automated. They're not even original. And so when it comes to something like this, I think the first step is being able to perceive it in a way that you can actually wrap your mind around it, which that phrase makes so much sense now in whatever way you do that. So like the kid with the book, it just seems like you're just trying to understand it, but at their level, right? And that's what they're doing, is they're understanding, even though the book's upside down, that's their level of understanding, and it's perfect, right? And I feel like AI has that ability to meet people where they are, and they tend to get out of it what they're able to put into it. Even though it's this massive structure, they tend to get out, very basic prompts or outputs, or very, very complex outputs.
That's definitely what I see, right?
Yeah.
Even though we're starting to discuss like some of our favorite AI tools.
Yeah.
Right? Is that like, so I just like went to a conference at WO. I gotta make sure I'm saying the acronym accurately because I'm nervous.
Yeah. They'll reach out to you and say, hey, no, that's not who we are. Right.
WASP.
Yeah, there you go.
And they have AI tools that are helping them with cybersecurity.
Yeah.
Right? And that's just like, I don't even do cybersecurity, so that's not a tool for me. Right. But it's crazy to me to see how we're starting to enter the space where it's not just like a wave of AI. We're starting to, just like you say, we're entering this phase where you can kind of meet AI, what works for you. Yeah. Right. So like, what tools do you like? What applies to your profession? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? So what tools should you learn? Right.
Yeah.
And so, and maybe it's not a cybersecurity AI system. Maybe it is. Right.
Yeah. Right.
But
it's
yeah,
colorful. It's just like flowers. There's so many varieties and colors. Everybody's going to use AI differently, and that's the beauty of it. And security is a big thing. It's you mentioned something before the show that it's interesting that their value system is so set on security that they were making you feel secure.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. They are security. It's not like they're just coding security. That's who they are. Yes. And that's what comes out of them. Right.
I feel like I will want to present at a cybersecurity event like all the time now. When I was there,
the safest place to be in the world.
Like the safest people. Yeah. There's a whole group of just people who love safety and who love security.
Yeah.
And value others being safe and secure. So just that's walking amazing. In, they're so like, they're like, oh, this is your first time? Just, like, that's wonderful. Right. Like I was like, man.
The UX of a live event, right?
Yeah. This is the conference to be at.
Yeah, that's funny. And what's when it comes to security, so we'll kind of go down a rabbit hole here. It's a big thing. I just saw there was a dating app recently that got hacked, and they were vibe coding the whole thing. And in that, they left vulnerabilities, and they got hacked, and all that data got leaked. This site that was supposed to be private, but they didn't take the time to really slow down and protect the information. And lately, AI is going to change the way people are hacking your information and getting into our systems. So I don't even know where to start here. Honestly, I don't even know what to ask, but where would you start when you're looking at security and AI? I mean, are people safe sharing their information on a Chat GPT or a Gemini? Do they need to worry that if they share personal information on there, it's going to leak out to the world and then everybody knows their deepest, darkest secrets?
I think so first off, I work with NeuralSeek, and we predominantly install on secured systems and enterprises.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try and answer as well as I can, but you also have to remember that this is my perspective on it. Right.
Got it. Yeah.
So, when I install AI systems, it's on a banking system, right? It's on a hospital, right?
And that's where it's got to be the most
right
protected, right?
So NeuralSeek, like I support with like our auditing. So we're HIPAA compliant. We work through SOC 2. We work through PCI, right? Additionally, we're an on-prem solution. So that means that like you're not like NeuralSeek just gets installed on your server. So you don't have to have it connected to the cloud.
Mm-hmm.
We obviously have cloud options. I work with IBM. I work with AWS. Like we obviously have cloud options, but we have an on-prem option specifically for these highly secured enterprises. My cautionary tale doing that, and that kind of being my background, right, is that more often than not, when we think of security, we are thinking of like some crazy person in this like dark dungeon rushing through, right?
Yeah.
It's like
The villain.
got the villainy will vibe, right? Really what they're using right now is AI. So what they're using is AI to find code that's insecure and rush through it. So I'm going to do this as if we're doing like a social media post.
Yeah.
Right? So if I post on my social media and I'm like, had a great time, that is not like worthy information. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Like a bot is scanning that quickly and 10,000
like useless to the bot.
Useless to the bot. If I say, have a great time on like October 28th at my local coffee shop, you know, street and address, that is interesting to a bot.
Right.
That makes sense because it's got date, time, location, right? And so when you're writing code, when you're thinking of like what you're putting into your AI, like you got to think of it's not like, yeah, it's private information. You got to think of it's interesting to a robot. Right? Is this interesting to a bot? So you're looking at things like social security numbers, right? That's really interesting to a bot, right? Because they look the same. We know what they are. It's easy to identify them.
There's a pattern, right?
There's a clear pattern with a social security number, right? On the flip side, so that's who's over here. The other person who I see with security is actually like people in the company or like people who've recently left the company.
Okay.
And so keeping to like our social media post idea, right, is that, and not to get too dark, but most kidnappings aren't random strangers. It's a relative.
Yeah, you really did go dark there.
I got dark. Yeah, I tried to give you a prep.
Yeah.
Right? But if we're thinking about it, where that goes is that like what you're sharing is someone you know who you don't trust. So I think oftentimes we think security and it's like someone we don't know who we don't trust, right? Like those are the two don'ts.
Interesting. Yeah.
But when you actually start thinking of security, what you're looking at is it's typically someone you do know who you don't trust.
Interesting.
And that switches the psychology just a little.
So, I know some of those people in my own life.
You can hear your brain be like,
I can give you a list.
Oh, yeah. You're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right? So then all of a sudden, if that's what we're working with, is someone we do know who we don't trust, and we're implementing an AI system in a hospital, we're going to have access control because more likely than not, it's going to come from a robot, or it's actually going to come from somebody within the hospital who we do know, who we don't trust.
Yeah. Right? Okay.
So
who has access, right?
Right. Or they don't have access and they're trying to get into access. I don't know like who these villains are.
Yeah.
Right. I just know that like that's when we're like, oh yeah, like we've got to monitor access. Right. That's when we're like, oh my gosh, like we've got to make sure that we're like storing our data properly.
Yeah.
Right. We've got to make sure that like when we're generating responses, it's with secured information. Right.
Yeah. Can I ask you on this around when you're thinking of if somebody's going to go into vibe coding, which at my level of coding, that's where I'm at. I don't have enough skill to do Angular or Python. I'm learning it. Right. But with vibe coding, you can essentially program something just with natural language. But when it comes to security, most people aren't equipped to handle the type of security that you need when you're dealing with people's personal information. So how would you suggest somebody that's maybe vibe coding or new to programming altogether? How do you think ahead of somebody that you don't trust might be taking this information down the road?
Yeah. So that alone will make you think differently, right?
Yeah,
Not for the rest of your life, you'll be coding.
absolutely.
And you'll like be like, okay, is this information?
That's I picture the
Yeah.
guy like,
Yeah. You're like,
yeah,
oh.
oh, I've got you.
The other thing that I recommend is data minimization.
Okay.
But this is a pretty standard practice. And this is like, do we need that information? Right.
Okay.
So like if like with the dating app, for example, right? An ideal example of this is if I'm vibe coding a dating app, I'm not going to ask people for their home address. I'm going to ask them for like
the city.
The city.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask them for like a 20-mile radius that they're interested in. Does that make sense?
That's changing the way I think about it, right? Do I really need to collect this?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the exact question, right?
Yeah.
You're going to ask people for like their name, but you're not going to ask for a birthday. You might ask for a birth year. And you can see how that automatically changes things, right? So I don't need to know your birthday on this dating app. I'm going to ask birth year and I'm going to ask city. And all of a sudden we've like minimized our data, like that we're storing, consuming. Yeah.
Yeah. You've increased the amount of useless information, right? And minimized the amount of useful information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's just data minimization. That's a very standard practice across the board. Yeah, so I would start with that one. I would start with PCI is the auditing for credit cards.
Okay.
I would just never vibe code for money. So like people should be more worried about their like healthcare security, in my opinion. But you know, one thing that they like have no tolerance for is their money. So I would just always redirect to something that's PCI compliant.
So if you're coding something, instead of putting the code right on the app, send it over to Stripe or somebody that's got the coding in place so that you don't have to worry about security.
Just send it right over.
Yeah.
So I would do that for anything. If you're vibe coding, I would do that for anything with credit cards,
personal information.
If you got into anything with medical, just send it over. Do an API call. Yeah.
Okay. And can you, because people are going to be new here, can you explain an API just real quick?
Okay, so you're going to hear like how I understand the API as a project manager when people say this word.
Yeah.
Okay, so when I understand an API, this is like the house that we're living in.
Yeah.
Right? And then like this is the house that the information is living in.
Yeah.
And then I imagine the API call like this little. So this is not a professional.
This is great.
Okay. Yeah. I imagine the API call like this little like catapult that like flies over into the other house.
Yeah.
It, like grabs the information and then it like catapults itself back.
Okay.
So that's like, but that's not a definition.
No, I think this is
in my mind. Okay.
This is what they should put in the books, right? The catapult definition.
Definition of an API.
I pictured the old corded phones. You're running around your house and it's a mile long and it's connected to the wall. It's like that cord is the connection, right?
Yeah.
The catapult.
In like a PCI, so PCI is going to be credit card.
Yeah.
If you're like putting in a bot and it does, and you want people to get like their credit card information,
Yeah.
You're gonna be like catapult. We need like credit card. Pick that one out and then like catapult it back.
Yeah.
So that's yes.
That just gave me like the Monty Python vibes. The view of them throwing the cow over the wall.
If you're struggling with the API calls, that's what it looks like. But they are very useful because I think that the other problem that we're seeing with vibe coding with AI is obviously we need good data, data, garbage in, garbage out. So now all of a sudden we're actually not building AI agents. We're building data storage for our AI agents.
Isn't Is that what it's really all about, is data storage and data retrieval?
I secretly feel like that's what it's all about. A good AI system fits into
Yeah.
your lineage, right? Like it fits into like what data you have, what information do you want. Remember, like we are the currency of information,
Yes.
right? And so it's not just a nicely composed response, right? It's your data. Is it accurate? Is it current?
Yeah.
Is it like, is it acceptable? Is it answering what we want, right?
Yeah.
And so I know,
Is
like,
it retrievable? Is it
yeah.
right?
And so really you've got to put your AI system into your data lineage story.
Yeah.
And with that comes a serious conversation of like, am I building an AI agent or am I building a robust like storage and then asking my storage some questions? And when you kind of think of it that way, it makes you think differently about how you're storing the information.
Yeah. Can we play here a little bit?
Mm-hmm.
Because I've used a Cursor, I've used Firebase Studio, Firebase Console, and one of the biggest things I run into is database, and there's NoSQL and there's SQL, and it's just about organization. And I watched the history of data and how it went from these huge, massive computers and actually punch cards, right? It went from punch cards to computers to IBM, being at the forefront of really like creating a data storage and retrieval on a scale, right?
Yeah.
And one of the hardest things I have in vibe coding is figuring out how to store the information in an already built database and then get it back, because then that's where I run into the most errors is you don't have permission, or I can't find that. And I don't know if I'm making sense here, but it's like data. Yeah.
I've seen that a
lot. Yeah. And that's where I'm at, is I have so many failures, and that's part of learning is failing.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's a negative yield. And so you learn to get the positive yields, but working with AI and a database, because you mentioned you're either creating a database or you're essentially accessing, right, a database as an agent. Am I hearing that accurately?
You got to be accessing some sort of data.
Yeah.
Where you're getting it from.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I'm going to lean into my background. So my background is really with NeuroSeek, and we have that built into our Maestro flows.
Yeah.
Which essentially is a no-code environment that lets you. So I'm going to use my hands again because I like to.
Yep.
So here's
the Italian part is coming out.
Yeah.
Right? Just like me. I'm not Italian at all.
So here's I think you might understand it better. That's all.
Yeah. It's good. Go. Yeah, you're good.
So here's the question that comes in. So we're going to put the box here. This is the question, right? And then here's the large language model call, because we're going to want to make sure that our large language model reads the question that came in, right? And then we're going to put here, and typically the next step is a data source. One of the most common agents that I see corporations put in is actually a weather agent. They'll complement it with all the other robust things, but you'd be surprised.
A weather?
A weather. How many times people ask?
Okay, WHE, not the weather.
No, the weather. They're is it raining? Should I wear?
No way.
Yeah. So
no way.
Ask a lot about the weather. So we've learned to just put it in our standard packet. So if somebody says
that is so
should I wear a coat today? Right. And now let's kind of get our conversation with what we're talking about. So I was in Texas this last week, and you should not be wearing a coat in Texas. Texas was so hot. Okay. And I came from Utah, and I brought a scarf. I brought pants. Okay. Because it's cold here. Right. So one of the data points that we need for a weather app is location.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. And then the other data point that we'll need is the weather. Right.
Yeah.
And so what I think that sometimes we forget is I do a lot of training on linear thinking versus nonlinear thinking. I'm going to try and do a summary here. So when I say should I wear a coat today? Linear thinking is, should I wear a coat today? Yes, you should wear a coat today. That's linear thinking. It's question, answer. That's linear. 1, too.
Got it.
When you're working with AI, you have to think non-linearly. So when you hear the question, should I wear a coat today? Non-linear thinking is starting to group those ideas.
Okay.
So instead of thinking in a line, you're thinking in like groups or like webs of information or pattern recognition. That's non-linear thinking.
Can I highlight, or not highlight, but clarify?
Yes.
So NoSQL would be non-linear. Is that right? And SQL would be more linear.
Yeah, so that would be like a little bit more linear within like the code there, right?
Okay.
It's more on how you're like trying to solve the problem.
Okay.
So if I see the problem and it's like, what should I wear to, like, how is the weather today? Should I wear a coat today? And in my brain, I say in my brain, like, I need to find the information, like, yes, you need to wear a coat, or no, you, like, it's how you're thinking.
Okay.
So the nonlinear thinking is when I see the question and it's like, should I wear a coat today? Nonlinear thinking is kind of taking a breath and being like, okay, the group of information I need when I think to answer that problem is the weather. The group of information that I need when I'm answering that problem is the location. Right? And now instead of answering it, yes, you need a coat today, I'm thinking weather, location.
Yeah.
And then when I'm building up my Astro flow, it's the question, large language model call, but my data set that it goes to is first collecting the location and then collecting the weather and then generating the response.
Okay, I'm having an aha. Okay.
Yes.
So when you're speaking to the AI, it's recognizing patterns, it's recognizing words. So it's parsing essentially what it needs in there to go access the LLM, the large language model, or the data set, right? Yeah. And then it's returning an output based on not only your context, but the data that's available in the large language model to create that response. Yeah. Is that too simplified?
No, but you're missing one more data point.
Okay.
So we're not just doing a call to the large language model in this setup.
Yeah.
We're doing a call to a specific, like a very specific data source. And maybe, let me even see.
You're welcome to share. Yeah. With AWS, when they went down, Amazon I think it was last week, right? And they had like a central and an eastern database, and that went down. I don't know if this even ties into that. Yeah. When you talk about security, like all that information was just on hold for everybody because like a whole region went down. Is that even in line with
that's totally in line with security, right? Yeah. I mean, if we're looking at security and we're looking at, like if I had an operation on Monday and it was supposed to be checked in with an AI agent, like that impacts my personal security. That's all.
Yeah. Right.
I care about that.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah. That matters to me. So
it matters to me.
Yeah. That's funny.
Okay. So you're gonna see.
I'll add it to the screen. If you want to share sound, you can, but
I don't think I need sound. Okay.
Okay. I might turn off. No, we're able to see pretty well.
So what I'm looking at here, and this is how we've structured it.
I'm not trying to be
like, it's all about me as much as this is how I understand it. So if I come into my Astro, I'm going to click in the marketplace.
Okay.
And say I want to do one that we work with a lot. You can see here, I was referencing the weather one. So I'm going to like weather-based style recommender. So I'm going to one, right? And so like here is the prompt. And then this actually right here is going to be sent to, so we have like upload data.
Mm-hmm.
So this could be like if you wanted to upload like a PDF and you specifically, there's RAG and CAG. We went a lot into both, but I feel like CAG is underrated.
Okay. I don't know what that is.
So like RAG is like, let me find one that would be like a RAG one. So this one would be, okay, let's try this. So we're going to do this one, and I want to generate. This one was the marketplace one. These are pre-built agents.
Okay.
This one is if you just want to create an agent your own. So I would like an agent that is going to take a website and summarize the most important things for the website, right? And now it actually is just going to build it for you. No code. Okay. And so like right here is going to be the prompt.
That was fast.
Yeah, summarization is at 3,000.
Yeah.
I can't come to take this if I want it like, let's say I want like 500.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
So maybe I want it shorter, my website URL. And remember, I don't like consider myself a coder.
Yeah.
We usually do this with Wikipedia.
Okay.
A Wikipedia. Let's do a Wikipedia. I was here this week, so we're going to do that Wikipedia page. We're going to come here, copy it, go in here, the website URL. And now we're going to come and run agent. Oh, I actually think I did it in the wrong spot. Okay, so I'm going to run agent, and my website URL is right there. And now I'm going to click evaluate. And now it's like summarized that page for me. Now, what this looks like in corporate is actually this page configure. So right now we only have like these are the standard ones, and we have like this one imaginary virtual agent, just virtual agents right here. But in a corporate setting, I'd have multiple. So I'm going to have like one agent that I just built, this one right here per se. And that's the agent that scrapes websites.
Okay.
Right. I'm going to have a second agent. That's going to be the agent that does the weather. And then I'll get to my more secure agent, right? This one's going to do like an API call for people to schedule their doctor appointments, right?
Yeah.
This is that. So now we're starting to stack all of the different agents. And we, of course, can even web those agents, right? So if we have one agent that's getting people scheduled into the hospital, we have that one there. And then we have it so that it's, are they new patients or old, like returning patients, right?
I want to point this part out. Okay. The agents, you just mentioned that you have one that checks the people in and another agent. The simplicity of an agent, I hear people that say, oh, I want to build a complex agent that does all of this stuff. But what you just described is no, you build simple agents, right, that do one task very well. And then those agents talk to each other. Is that?
Yeah. And that works a lot better because first off, your troubleshooting is easier. So if I was building, let's look at some of these.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah. So you're able to find bugs and errors a lot quicker.
So much better. So if I'm working with, that was not the one I wanted. If I'm working with a corporation and we notice that like, this is a retirement planning agent.
Okay.
Right? This was a lot more complex than the one I just built for you. Right. Yeah. If I run this agent, essentially it's retirement age, control your expenses, right?
Yeah.
And now it's going to make a mathematical calculator and it has its own formula. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And we have this curate. So let's see. So this, I was asking about serial. Curate is going to store all of the Q&A.
Okay.
So this one is, let's ask a question here. Let's ask right here. Let's ask, what is the best kind of food for a lazy Saturday? Right.
I like it. Yeah.
Okay. So now it's going to, we do always train it to say like, I'm not an expert in this.
Ethics. Is that why? Just
you want to always tell people that you're not. Yeah.
Okay.
And now we're going to come to curate, and in here, right there, you can see other food lazy Saturday. Right. And I can see that this has 0 coverage and 0 confidence. Okay. Now, in a much more like remember when I've implemented, all of a sudden it's hundreds to thousands of questions, right? Okay. And even though people are asking hundreds to thousands of questions, most often it still falls in like our top 40 questions. Okay.
There's a consistent theme.
There's a consistent theme, and you can see
Yeah.
that here with natural language, because it's like, where do you go for food on a relaxing Saturday? So it already has told us a couple of other examples of other ways people might ask this question.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so then, but the biggest thing that we worry about as a corporation would be that this has zero confidence. That means we have no documentation answering this. So we did use a large language model to answer it well.
Yeah.
Right. There's nothing, the documentation is focused on training, like that's like no mention of food. Right. And a lot of times, like if I was a company and somebody was like, I'm not even going to waste my developers' time troubleshooting and adding an agent to answer people's lazy food questions. Right.
Yeah.
If I was, and I say that, but if I was like, maybe like if I was a restaurant,
Yeah.
on that question, obviously there's variation there. So if I was a restaurant, then all of a sudden I'm like, oh my gosh, people are asking us for menu and food recommendations, right?
Yeah.
Let's build, we have nothing in our documentation. We have nothing answering that.
It's an opportunity. So it's showing you opportunities, right?
Yeah. And so then and then in contrast, we ask this cereal question a lot. So we actually have built an agent that answers people's cereal questions, right?
Yeah.
Mostly because we just ask it a lot with our demos. And so now it has an agent. If people ask about cereal, it's going to ask it that way. So,
so to wrap my mind around this is essentially you put in all of the organization, all the documentation, all the apps, everything you built for that organization into NeuralSeek. And then you're able to quickly scan that documentation to see if there's an opportunity for one.
Yeah.
And if you need to build it, if
it's worth the time, right?
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So you're not wasting time building things that nobody's ever going to use.
Yeah. Like this one was like another one where my husband and I were car shopping. So we asked it about like RAV4s.
Yeah.
And on the same point, it wouldn't matter to me if I was like a restaurant, but if I'm a car dealership and people are asking about specific vehicles,
yeah,
like, and we can come in here and we could actually even build something. I am a car dealership and I want people to know my inventory. It is stored on we can say it's stored on an API call just for this one, that I want to access when people ask for our cars, right?
Yeah.
Now it's going to generate an agent. I do have like a little caveat with this. You'll want to like troubleshoot these things. Obviously, I built something in like 10 seconds. Right. User's question about car inventory. Tell me about a minivan. Right. Now, the problem, like this one won't really come back because I don't think that I connected it to a data source. And you can see right here, it says fix one error, please tap, right?
Okay.
So then it's going to be like, okay, like now you've got the link. Actually look at this one and see, okay, so it's missing inventory summary. Does this make any sense? And it's missing right here because I told it REST API call.
Right. Yeah.
So it's already flagging for me that I have 2 errors in this.
So you've got to give it your API, right?
So I have to give it my API.
Yeah.
And then it's going to be able to generate it. But
so the value of this is instead of just asking these questions. So if I ask these same questions to a large language model like ChatGPT or Gemini, I'm going to get data, but it's not going to be very useful for my company or organization, right?
Exactly. And like, you're going to get, like, we see this a lot with like law firms, right? Because they don't want any court case. They want this court case.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So now we have a way to like make sure that you're calling that court case, right? Mm-hmm. We don't want to just know like the laws in Texas. We want to know laws in Texas 2025 in the city of Austin.
That's where you want to get really specific. Yeah.
And so that's where we're putting these items in.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's cool. It's fun.
It's so fast too.
Yeah.
Like literally seconds. And like you just scanned and just to give a sense, that is a lot of information you're pulling from. And that was just seconds. That's a game changer, right?
Oh yeah. And remember like I'm the PM, I'm not the coder. So this is me typing in some fancy words
Oh, that's,
and hitting generate,
yeah.
and then it's live,
Yeah.
right? And you can see the value in it, especially when I complement it with something like Seek.
Yeah.
And like on top of that, what Seek does, let's ask. So my corporate base is actually on, please tell me how NeuralSeek uses API calls. Okay. So my corporate base is connected to my company's, right?
Okay.
Documentation directly.
So you have access to the documentation.
Right. And so when you look right here, you can see how each word is highlighted.
Yeah.
And now we're going to scroll down here. It's going to tell me exactly which document that came from.
Oh, wow.
That word. So this word, neural on Seek API calls.
Interesting.
Right? It told us exactly it came from this URL.
That's interesting.
And so, yeah.
I want to share real quick. I'm going to remove that real fast. It's just familiar. This is why it's familiar is this is Notebook LM, right? But NeuralSync is at a deeper level. I mean, this is all general information. Yours is specific to the organization.
Specific to the organization.
Exactly. And so this is a similar like structure, though. I can go in and see exactly which document it pulled from, right? When I'm doing my learning, that way I know which document. But it's not, this is general information. This isn't organizational.
And so you have to remember, like for me, when I've been implementing, it's like very much like enterprise implementation.
Yeah, yeah.
But you can see, but that's like, I feel like a little we're still playing with AI.
Yeah.
That's where the value is, right?
Sure.
Is when you can start showing companies like this is the value. This is what you get at the end of this.
That's what anybody cares about, right? Is how is this going to help me? Any video you watch, the only reason you're watching is how is it going to help me, right? Yeah.
And so that's where it changes, and you can even see there, like we use the NeuralSeek. Like I told it to use NeuralSeek documentation, right?
Yeah.
I was like, hey, when you're answering these questions about NeuralSeek, use my documentation, right?
Yeah.
But we've seen that, like our team's gotten brought in when they installed an agent, and it like is scraping the website, and it's like pulling up negative reviews online about their company.
Yeah.
And then it's like answering people's questions generated from negative reviews.
Oh no.
We're
the worst. You don't want to work with us.
That's exactly what it was like.
Oh no.
So then we like came in and we're like, okay, we're gonna like that. So it's your
that could backfire.
Yeah.
Oh. See, and I've seen, with scraping information, ChatGPT 5, which I use to scrape, does a good job. Gemini doesn't. And it's amazing because ChatGPT will go to Google to scrape information, but Gemini won't even scrape its own information. So the models matter. And I'm speaking AI here versus, NeuralSeek is.
No, yeah.
Yeah. It's like your information, your output is only as good as the information it's pulling from, right? Yeah. So this is where if you get boxed in on just one thing, and that's bad information, then you're kind of screwed, right?
Yeah, we have like an international internship program, and one of the weeks we just do a solid competitive analysis, and it's because of that. Like when you're starting to enter the world of AI, it's really important to like. I think everyone thinks that there's going to be like a magic bullet. It's going to be all of the things, right? And like, I think like, was it Notebook LLM that you showed me?
Yeah. Notebook LLM. Yeah.
I use that in my daily life, honestly. Like that's perfect.
Yeah.
Right? And like, you can see that like NeuralSeek actually probably is more enterprise, more corporate. That makes sense. And so you've got to start seeing like the new, like we were talking, I like how you said flowers, right?
Yeah.
We're like, let's use a bouquet. Right?
Yeah. Well, and you and I are kind of that contrast of I'm very small scale, individual, learning to vibe code, learning AI. I've been using AI since 2022, November is, essentially when ChatGPT came out is when I got really curious. And then you're over here on an enterprise level. So like scaling, going from where I am to you are, I'm using a similar tool in Notebook LM, but for small scale. Whereas you're using NeuralSeek, which is large scale, accurate information, your documentation, right?
Yeah.
And fast. Holy crap, is it fast?
Yeah, it's really fast.
Yeah.
Honestly. And then like you can see how that speed just impacts things.
Yeah.
Right? So you can have like one developer, two developers on a project, and it can get like a full scale delivery in like 2 months, right?
Wow.
Of just like multiple agents, multiple data calls, right?
Yeah.
Very complex items, and it's ready to go, you know?
Can I ask you what your view is around, a lot of people are worried that AI is going to take their job, that it's going to replace them, and it is going to change things. And I love the quote. Charles Darwin says that it's not the most, the strongest or the most intelligent that survive. It's the most adaptable to change. And we saw change when the internet came out. We saw change when cars came out. We saw change when electricity came out, right? And we have a whole world built around that now. So I'd love your point of view on that. Is what would you share with somebody that's maybe nervous about that?
Well, remember, I was a kindergarten teacher, and now I do
Okay, that best answer ever. Yeah. I'm no longer a kindergarten teacher.
I'm no longer a kindergarten teacher. Right?
That is a great answer.
And it's not because I think AI is even capable of replacing kindergarten teachers. And that's the point, right? We have not replaced kindergarten teachers with AI. I've just adapted and gotten into a different field, right? And so I think kind of to your point, and definitely the vibe that I'm feeling on here is like, yeah, learn it, you know, like, and, I never thought that I would be on a podcast answering AI questions, right? Telling you that an AI calls like a catapult. So
that's the kindergarten teacher. This is what makes you an effective teacher, though, is you can simplify something that is so complex down to a kindergarten level, which is so valuable, right?
I do feel like that's my secret skill in this field. Yeah. It is very complex. Obviously, an API calls not a catapult.
Right.
But,
drags and cags and all this stuff. And we're like, I have no idea what she just said.
Yeah.
But then you're like, it's like a catapult. Oh yeah, I totally get it.
You're like, okay.
AI now.
You're the boss.
Yeah. I'm an expert.
Yeah. So I think that, like the future of AI is really like, it's really us. It's what we're doing with it. Right.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So my platform that I operate from, building my apps and things is called my growth agency, and it's AI for agency. But the TH in growth is an exponent for tech and humanity. And it really is that blending of those two worlds, because we're humans, and tech is going to be tech, and it's always going to be that way. And we'll blend as much as we can, but it's really that humanness that brings all this together.
Humans are more frightening to me than AI, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
AI
is interesting, right? But if we're talking about, like, I'm like, oh, people, we gotta be nice people.
Oh my gosh, it would be amazing if it could train that way, right? Train people. Why don't you train people how to be more like AI? Holy God.
Pattern recognition. That's not kind. I'm gonna redirect my words, right?
They're not gonna like that. But man, I have apps for saying things better. Like when I'm heated, I have a GPT that I built to help me say it better. Stuff, if I'm blaming other people for my life, I have one that's called Own Your Shit. It just pulls it all back inside. It's like,
that's interesting, honestly.
Yeah. It's so easy to like not see past our emotions, and AI is very non-emotional.
Yeah.
And so it's very useful. Is there anything you want to share that maybe we didn't cover in the show?
I have just enjoyed this a lot. Kind of like closing ones is in like the spirit of like learning new things.
Yeah.
Just make sure to like ask people. This has been a delightful conversation. I've learned from you. I need to go maybe look a little more into like coding. You referenced a couple tools that I found interesting. So I'm going to try those. Right. But keep up that like curiosity, learning. That's all good stuff.
Awesome. Yeah, that's one of the things that I have is an insatiable curiosity. And I might not know much, but I know people that do.
Yeah.
I'm willing to learn from them,
Yeah. Like, yeah, that's cool.
So that's the journey here, is to just share it with other people who are wanting to catch that vibe. So thank you so much for sharing openly. I'll probably, reach out down the road and have you on again if
Yeah.
you're up for it. And maybe we have a totally different conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you so much for all you shared today. This has been useful. For those that are watching, go to neuralseek.com. Check this out. If you need a speaker for your next event, tech summit, AI summit, security, reach out to Joy. She's pretty amazing. And yeah, just continue to find your vibe. So go to getavibe.com and check out what we're doing there. I'm going to continue to add more and more tools to that. As I learn things, I'm going to share things. And so that's my way of doing. And so, yeah, thanks for everything you've done today. And for those that are watching, go catch your vibe, and we'll see you in the next video.
Thank you.